I have our third animatronic dragon of the season, and I have saved the best for last, or at least it's the biggest. This is the Home Depot Wyvern, and look at the size of this box. It is over 40 inches wide and deep and 28 inches tall. So it is another prop that I had to pull everything out of the box in the Home Depot parking lot and stuff it all into my trunk. So let's go ahead, open it up, and get this thing unloaded. Aside from a lot of leftover packaging, cardboard, and plastic, I think I've got everything out of the car. There's not a whole lot of pieces, which is actually making me feel a little bit better about this prop when I have to store it later. I don't think I need to use the giant box. I can Tetris these little pieces on a shelf somewhere and take up a lot less room than this giant box would. Before we go ahead and put it together, though, let's take a closer look at the box.
This is part of the Gruesome Grounds collection. It is giant size, colored, changing, and animated. It's the LED Wyvern. It is indoor and outdoor rated. It does have a timer that will last 6 hours and then change off for 18. It has red, green, and blue chasing lights, mouth and neck movements. It's motion activated. It has a durable frame and makes roaring sounds.
One aspect I was hoping it would have that it doesn't appear to is the ability to connect it to a fog machine, like our other two dragons we explored this season. Let's go ahead and put him together, though, and see if he has some wonderful aspects to make up for that. He does come with 4 pages of instructions. They are black and white, which never makes it easy and helpful when putting these things together. Let's do our best, huh? We're going to start, actually, with the feet. The feet are labeled B and C. They have a large slot in the bottom that's going to slide right over the pole and hold into place. B is going to go on the character's left, C on the character's right. And that is how all of the instructions list left and right, which can be a little confusing. Most of the parts on this animatronic connect with the push pins, except for this next piece, which has 2 screws for some reason, which are going to hold the base of basically the whole dragon onto the feet. We're going to slide this piece over the bar inside, the leg here. It should line up pretty well. We're going to need to go from the underside and then push these screws in through these holes in the bottom of the legs. Then we have a couple of these cover plates that will go on these leg holes. Like so. I do not like this step at all. Well, that didn't even hold it on. All right, we're at attempt number 2. So when you push this bar down onto the leg, you really have to push it farther than you think. I mean, now I can tell that the leg is really pushed together, but previously it felt like it wasn't. It didn't seem like the bar was going to go down any further. You have to really kind of push it on there, and that's going to really connect it and make it snug in place. I'm going to put a screw back in. I really don't like the fact that we have to screw those pieces in. I don't know why it couldn't have been the push pins, which will make it so much easier to disassemble. And what if we lose those screws? A couple more leg covers. They are molded in the way that you can only put them on in one direction, it looks like. It's time to put on the body. What was that? It took a lot of finagling to get this thing into place. These bars also have these protective tips on the end. It looks like that would help guide it onto the other bar, but I had to take it off to make it work. I'm not sure if you're supposed to or not, but it was not easy getting this thing into place and keeping all of these parts from popping out. But finally got it done. Let's move on. The next awkward thing we have to do is connect the head to the neck. So it looks like it's got this plastic rubber protective bit that I assume we're going to have to slide over something and then connect these wires. So let's turn this to the side so you can kind of see what's going on here. This thing just looks like it's going to be all in the way. I assume that this is to help protect it from the rain since it is an outdoor prop, but it just seems kind of awkward. That stupid bit of rubber makes it really difficult to put this on. I almost feel like they should have made that a separate piece that you could add after the fact. But now that it's together, we need to connect these cables. Everything about this assembly is taking me like 10 times longer than I thought. Finally got this head on after much difficulty. This bit of rubber, I think, just goes inside of it so that when it moves, it just looks like it's, moving with the piece, I guess. But we still do have exposed wires at the top. That rubber doesn't cover it. At least I can't get it to. So if we're leaving this outdoors, that might be an issue. Let's go ahead and put it on. Now, I am noticing that this bar has a hole, so you would expect there to be a corresponding push pin on the neck bar. But there's not. Is it just supposed to sit into place? I mean, that's the only thing I can think. I suppose that's accurate because on the back, there isn't really an access hole to be able to unclip it if it were clipped into place. Those cables that were connected to the neck, I guess we can reach here through the armhole to be able to connect them. You have to have tiny hands, though. Even these connector cables are incredibly frustrating. They have tiny little push pins that can only be connected in one configuration that has to be all lined up correctly in order to connect it. I'm not even sure I got this one right, so I'm hesitant to put it all together and then find out that it's not. That little hole in the back is actually for this cable connector bar, so we can just screw this in here, and I suppose that is actually probably going to hold that neck on. And now we're ready for the tail. Thankfully, I think it just snaps into place. I can see through the holes in the bottom here that it does. But does not that go in fully, of course? Hey, fly. Fly. I. Ouch. The next tail piece, just to be different, will connect with a different connector. We are going to slide it in, twist it, and lock it into place. That didn't sound great. And then the final piece also twists into place. There we go. We're going to put on the wings next. They just unfold and stay in place. I really like that. Finally, something that's easy. We do need to connect it. There is a bar to connect here to the arm, so let's see if we can get that in place. That one wasn't too hard, and inside that locking mechanism had one of these tips on it, and the bar did go over it. So I think we were supposed to leave these on, but it's too late now. The next wing. Way at the top of the wings, we have some sort of horn claw thing. It's also going to twist into place. Might have been a little easier to put that on before we put the wings on. Now we can put on the rest of the covers on the back. Now the rest of the pieces in the box, we have a cable. Remember, we put this piece in the back. You can run the cable through that to the hooks on the base to hold this thing upright. We also have some extra bar pieces that can connect to the base to make it a little bit wider, give it a little bit more stability, and then some stakes to pound it into the ground so it's not going to fall over. But for our purposes, I'm not going to put any of these on. The last thing we need to do is connect the plug. It looks like this is about a 12-foot cord, maybe 10, 12 feet. And it is going to plug into the back of the animatronic. And then it's just going to hang down behind it. I don't love that. I kind of wish it was a little more integrated so it would be less visible. On the back here, there is an option if you want to have a step pad. There's a plug for that. There's a volume control, so you know I love that function. And then there's a mode option. So it has a few different modes. We'll check those out in a moment. And there's another button here. I love this. It says there's an option for just lights. So if you don't want it to move around or make noise or whatnot, I think you can just turn on the lights. But before I plug it in, let's bring the camera in and we'll take a closer look.
Our Wyvern is impressively huge. Look at the teeth on this guy. And he's got a tongue that's three-dimensional. It sticks up just inside of it. Very impressive. The eyes a bit white. I mean, I'm sure once we turn them on, they will have a glow and a color, but don't love that they're just white by themselves. But he's got a lot of molding here with the scales. The wings, I'm not sure how long this material is going to last. It seems like it's pretty durable, but who knows. It's got a nice printed pattern on it to give it lots of detail. And as we make our way up the wing, of course, we have this bony sort of horn on the end, giving it a menacing appearance. Now, if you're not familiar with what a wyvern is, it is basically a little bit different from a dragon. A dragon typically has 4 legs, 2 hind legs, 2 front legs, but the wyvern uses its wings as its arms instead of another set of legs. Let's go ahead and take a look at the back. Look at those scales that run up and down. Of course, because you have this giant yellow connector right there in the back, you're probably not going to want to make the back too visible. But here is the control box. The cable does lock into place with a little screw cover. Of course, we've got the volume, the step pad, the mode buttons.
All right, are we ready to see it in action? Let's go ahead and plug it in. As expected, we had to pull the wings off and check the wiring to make sure everything was plugged in right. We also were having problems with the neck moving. It was binding right here. You do need to make sure that the neck is inside this rim of the chest piece to make it fully functional. I'm going to go and put the wings back on. Try it again. Let's see if we can make him work. The sensor is a little touchy. It probably would work a little better with a foot pad. So which color is your favorite? I like the blue, I think, but I already have a blue dragon, and we have a red dragon, so I might end up just making him green. I don't know. You'll have to wait to see it in our final display coming up soon. So stay tuned for that. Overall, I think it's a good prep. I mean, he was pretty pricey, and for the price that he was, which is $400, I feel like he should have had maybe a little bit more movement. The wings being static is a little bit disappointing, especially because the sound, you can kind of hear like wings flapping in the sound effect, which honestly is not great as it is. But overall, the major problem is he is so hard to put together. I feel like we've had two dragons that were relatively easy to put together. I don't know why this one had to be so much more difficult. I do, however, love the fact that we can just leave the lights on. That is a beautiful effect. He'd look good with some fog effects. Again, there's no way to make the fog come out of his mouth, which is another disappointment. But you can, I guess, have it around it. Who knows? I'm going to try and put a fire effect behind that. We'll see how that turns out. Regardless, he is an impressive prop. Let me know in the comments what you think. Before we go, I did want to say a special thank you to all the patrons who help support the channel. If you're interested in joining our Fright Club, be sure to check out a link to my Patreon page in the description below. That's going to do it for today. Thanks for watching, everyone. Until next time, take care, and happy haunting.